I went in and there's 4 different sessions happening.
How stressed on a scale of 1 to 10 are we right now?
Oh yeah, no, secrets.
When you have a document that only you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and then the Kingsmen turned up and they started dancing. Because I keep looking at the programme and being like, oh, I can't be in 2 places at once. Massive balls of cheese. You know how to rig a backdrop. So
Forcing your husband to be there for the whole festival.
Something's going to happen, and we know we can deal with it because we've done it before.
Hi there, welcome to This Is Mint, the podcast that talks to the creators, the makers and the movers and the shakers from the north of England. How are we doing? I really hope that you enjoyed last week's episode with Alistair Anderson. And yeah, episode 2, here we go. Today, I'm going to be talking to the lady that manages it all. If you wondered how on earth does anyone even begin to plan a folk festival, then your questions will be answered. Today, we have got the amazing Elinor Attwood on today, who is the creative director of Saltburn Folk Festival. So she's going to be chatting to us about just what it's like to run a festival. It sounds quite stressy, I'm not going to lie, but Elinor does an amazing job. Yeah, just kind of so intriguing as an artist to see what goes into running a festival like that. So yeah, this is Elinor Attwood. Enjoy.
Elinor, welcome to This Is Mint. How are you?
I'm good. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Yes, I'm good. So, for people who don't know, what do you do?
So, I'm Elinor. I'm the artistic director of Saltburn Folk Festival. So, I deal with all of the sort of creative programming and logistics of that. And then also my kind of other lives outside of that, I'm also the programme coordinator for a programme called Into the Light, which is the legacy vehicle for the City of Culture bid for County Durham. And I also do various other creative and freelance projects. So I also manage some work for an organisation called Music at the Heart of Teesdale, where we run 2 to 3 youth folk bands out in the Durham Dales and kind of deliver folk opportunities for people in Durham.
So, an admin queen, I would say. Running the show, running the folk show in the northeast, absolutely. So, I'm going to break the fourth wall slightly and say that me and Elinor actually went to uni together, and we both did a music degree. So, I wanted to ask you about going from doing a normal sort of performance music degree. How did you go from there to kind of getting into the more sort of behind the scenes of music and planning festivals and things?
Yeah, so I think I loved playing fiddle and still to an extent do, but I realised quite quickly sort of as we got on with the degree that I was getting as much sort of joy, adrenaline, creative fulfilment, whatever you want to call it, out of being off stage as I did on. And I also realised that actually there was loads of amazing musicians out there, and actually facilitating that work was a really creative pathway too, and kind of sorry, the pollen is killing me. Facilitating that kind of work was also a really interesting creative pathway. It's really curatorial, and a lot of my skills also sit in that kind of admin producing world. So sitting in front of a spreadsheet for hours and hours and hours is, I wouldn't say it's fun, it's not abhorrent as a lot of creators find it. In terms of the pathway, I did a variety of different things. So after I finished the folk degree at Newcastle, I went on to do my master's degree in arts business, also at Newcastle University, where I wrote my thesis and did a lot of research on building sustainable ecologies. Jesus Christ. Building sustainable ecologies, particularly around folk music as a case study, and particularly thinking about programming and whether live music as an ecosystem can be built out in a way that can support artists in the most effective way, that feels sustainable, means that people can maintain careers, means that people can actually move through this rather than, say, doing a degree in folk music, being absolutely shit hot at accordion or fiddle or whatever, and then kind of going, oh, now what?
Yeah.
So did a lot of research around that. I graduated from that in 2019, in the winter of 2019, and then COVID happened. So all of that research quite quickly became fairly redundant because the entire
ecosystem
disappeared.
Yeah.
And I've completely changed since then. But it also meant that I kind of built out my network through that time. I reconnected with people that I'd known prior to doing the folk degree or while doing the folk degree. So people doing bits of kind of freelance work with people like the English Folk Expo and what is now Sound Roots. And sort of just built up those connects and was doing bits of kind of, well, I had gigs planned from a promoting point of view, which got cancelled because of 2020. But then also doing things like internships in events, work in non-music related fields. And just kind of figuring my way out through there. I was doing bits of teaching, so working with Musical Heart of Teesdale, who I've now been with for about 8 years or 9 years. So at that time, mainly tutoring young people in music, but then gradually took on more of a kind of organisational role, doing more like partnership building. So it's that classic kind of story of the non-linear portfolio career that creators tend to have, but it meant that each of those little facets kind of added up to the skills that I needed to do what I do. So yeah, that's kind of
it all kind of like it all ends up coming back together in some different way, doesn't it? So going from all of that, how did you end up working with Saltburn Folk Festival? How did that happen?
So it was actually I was doing some work with English Folk Expo, and then I joined their promoter training scheme, which at the time was for the whole of the north of England. And again, this was sort of 2019, I think it was summer-ish, 2019. And the plan was that it was a CPD course for emerging folk promoters to get some mentorship and then also get some investment to put on a couple of gigs at folk festivals in the north of England. And through that I was working with Tom Besford, who I've known for a very long time and has always been really supportive in my career. And then also Phil Simpson, who is part of Beverley Folk Festival, and is also a really great agent in folk music. And it was one of those, again, it becomes a little bit one of those just network things where the previous team at Saltburn were there was lots of gaps. We unfortunately lost the original director of Saltburn Folk Festival, and a small team had tried to kind of keep it going after that point, but we're really looking for some new energy, some new particularly young promoters who would be able to kind of support or give some advice or just kind of inject some energy into what they were doing and trying to bring some extra capacity on board. And so I believe it was Phil had kind of recommended me and put me in touch. And so it kind of went from there. So I got involved in a very kind of tangential way in that sort of 2019 period with the idea that I'd be doing some artistic programming. And then 2020 happened, so we didn't win a festival, and then 2020, and I might be wrong in my timeline on this, so I will double check, but 2021 we then moved the festival online because we'd hoped to run it in person, but we couldn't for obvious reasons again, so we ran what was that, 2020? I'll double check and put it up on the screen. But we then ran a virtual gathering, we called it. So we had to very quickly, I had to figure out how to live stream a load of gigs. We had a load of artists who were really generous and recorded gigs for us, even though there's it was all based on donations. We had no guaranteed fees because there was no ticket sales. So we had lots of, challenges in figuring out how to do that. And then within that period, most of the kind of team that had kind of held things together in that interim period wanted to take a step back. They were getting older, they had much more limited capacity. So at that point, I'd already become a director, but I kind of took on the kind of mantle of the piece. So yeah, that was the kind of progression, and then we've ran live festivals, and again I'll double check this, but I believe this is our 4th one this year, so 22 to 26. 5th, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Yeah. So we're on our 5th this year with the current team. So we're really excited. We've expanded our board this year, so we brought on some really great new people to kind of support and bring all of their skills to the team, which is really exciting for me. It means there's more creatives involved, more people who I've worked with before who are really amazing to work with, and we're expanding the programme, so we're in a bit of a pivotal time, but yeah, that's kind of how I got involved. It's that usual kind of again, very non-linear, there was no application process.
No,
it was very word of mouth
just went
and just trying some stuff.
Yeah.
And it worked, and so I kept doing it.
That's fascinating, because I didn't realise how much pre-COVID and into COVID you were involved with the festival actually. So you like kind of obviously went into it in a very pivotal time for not only festivals but for music, like live music in general. When we came out of COVID, when you started running it from like a more sort of what you would call a normal festival, not an online festival, was there anything about running a festival that you just didn't expect? Like, what were the things that like really surprised you in those first couple of years of running a festival, where you were just like, oh no, or like, oh, this is great, like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's really interesting. I think logistically, because it's a venue festival, it's based in a town, you can put on gigs in purpose-built venues quite easily, relatively logistically easily. One of the challenges we have is we're working out a lot of non-traditional venues, so we're using things like church halls, churches, school buildings, as well as some more purpose-built venues. And I think one of the big challenges is the scope of that and how many people you need on the ground dealing with weird quirks, like, oh, the backdrop that we had, or the thing that we put the backdrop on in the school last year is just gone now. So that no one tells you about, because you have this conversation like, yeah, it's all the same. So you obviously you have to be quite agile and problem solving, but it's so much problem solving, and I almost, you start every day with like thinking it's like, well, something's going to happen and we know we can deal with it because we've done it before, but at the beginning we hadn't done it before. Like,
so it's like learning on the job basically.
Something's going to happen and we're not 100% sure how we're going to get through it yet, but we will. So it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So could you just tell, just for people that maybe don't know, could you tell us a little bit about where Saltburn is, and do you have any interesting facts about Saltburn in your being there a lot?
So Saltburn is on the North Yorkshire coast. It's in Teesside. It's in that kind of contested area of the north of England, but it is on the North Yorkshire coast. It's really beautiful. It's a kind of Victorian seaside town, which you know, as you've been. It's got a really lovely beach. I hear. I rarely get down to it.
Do you know what? I've never been to the beach. I think I've done the festival 3 times, and I've never been to the beach.
I got down once last year.
In 4 years.
But it's really beautiful. It's got a lovely pier where we've had some dancers dance down there before, which is really atmospheric and cool. I do keep trying to get jokingly to friends who used to work at the council out there that I'm going to get the fire dancers, like the Kingsman's fire dance on the pier.
Right, yeah.
And they keep telling me that would be a fire hazard. But I think it would look great. So,
it would. I'm all for it.
There's loads of sand, there's loads of sea, you can put it out, you know.
But we can get some buckets, sand buckets, like we can get some of them, you know.
I think one of the key things that people know about Saltburn is we've got a funicular railway, which is like a little lift that goes down the cliff, which is Victorian. Again, another thing that, all the unexpected things of event management is it's really great. Lots of our visitors and our attendees like to go on it. It's also really useful when we need to transport like an entire Morris side from the top of the cliff to the bottom of the cliff quite quickly. And a couple of years ago that was closed for refurbishment, and we didn't know about it until quite late in the day.
Okay.
So, which is fine, it's not the end of the world, It's not like it's a primary venue, but it's all the little things like that where you go, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We won't have that this year.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine, but that ruins a lot of our pictures, or it ruins, makes that thing more difficult.
It does mean you have got more chance of sort of cliff diving down.
Yeah, they just
to get
fall,
to
just kind of
the
knocking down.
So when you started running the festival, was there anything in particular that you wanted to sort of bring in, or you were like, what you wanted to put your own, like, kind of, I guess, putting your own stamp on it in a way? Like, was there anything in particular when you came in, you went, I really want to encourage this, or I want to do this, or were there any of those things, or was it just very much like, I'm going to just see how it goes,
Yeah, I think the key thing for me was, we often say, so me and my colleague Ellen, who's our design director, whose dad actually set up the festival many years ago, we often joke it would have been a lot easier in some ways to just set up a festival from scratch, because there's no precedent for what people expect. But on the flip side, one of the really lovely things is there's a lot of already engaged audiences who have something that they expect, and so who are already engaged and keen and like what they do, or what they think we do, or what they think we're going to do. So I think for me, one of the key things was really balancing, maintaining the thing, the vibe, whatever it is that makes it feel like Saltburn Folk Festival. It's not just a new festival that we've dumped on the town. It's still got that kind of history. It's been in Saltburn since 1996, I think, in late 1990s anyway. I was in Redcar before that for many years in advance of that. So maintaining those local voices, maintaining the kind of thread, maintaining things like a real commitment to having space for people to sing that aren't maybe necessarily concerts. All of that kind of characterisation, but then also really pushing for a pipeline for folk, so really making sure that we had emerging artist opportunities, making sure we were showcasing new voices. One of the things I did quite quickly was I made sure that there was one slot in the programme every year where, in theory, it was held that if an artist, say an established folk artist, had a new project, or they had a band that hadn't really gigged out yet, but it was going to be good, but they needed space to do their first gig, or something like that, I've always held back a spot for that. So we've had things like Holly Clark and George Sampson, and we had Culverake. So things like that, but then also the way I've been describing it in the last couple of years is this future-facing folk. So making sure we're kind of maintaining what's gone before, but then also making sure we're showcasing that pipeline from everything from the young musicians of the youth bands that come along, through to emerging artists, folk degree students and graduates, through to kind of the national names that we kind of have as headliners.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. So that leads very nicely on to my next thing, which is the lineup for this year. Okay, so for the festival, we've got people such as Frankie Archer, the Furrow Collective, Granny's Attic, and then the people that you will also see on this podcast series for this year. How does one go about putting a festival lineup together? Because I imagine it must be an absolute minefield. So tell us how do you even begin to start going through that?
So it's a big mix of different things. So one thing I do every year is I have a note file on my phone of literally just artists that, like, if I go to a really good gig that year, or someone has mentioned to me, like, oh, you've got to see blah blah blah, they're amazing, they're doing something really cool, or someone that I've noticed has got an album coming out next year, or just different bits and pieces, and I literally dump them in a note file for the next year. So in 2025 I would already have a note file with, like, say 10 or 20 artists that I would maybe think about when it got to the time to plan 2026. I've already got one going for 2027, so that's one element. Oh yeah, I know, secret. An exclusive. I'll show you my note file.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one thing. We have an EOI process, so artists can apply directly. We get way more than we can ever accommodate. Like, if you counted up the amount of kind of approaches from agents, artists, whether via the EOI or like DMing us on Instagram or getting in touch with me in the pub, or
Wow.
like it would be it's hundreds if not thousands. Like it's so many approaches. So, and we maybe have, God, I don't know how many we have this year, but it's like in the tens, So, but I do make a point of going through all those EOIs, and whenever there's a spot to fill, that's usually the first port of call I go to. Or if something jumps out at me at that, I always try and book at least a couple of artists from that EOI process. And then also I get some agent approaches directly pitching artists in the kind of more traditional way. And then what I kind of do is I have a massive spreadsheet, which like Tom can't look at it. He literally, like, I get it up on, I've got 2 monitors set up. Yeah. And it fills the 2 monitors, and often I'll be like, Tom, can you come and have a look at the draft program? And he just like looks at it. It's like, I don't want to look at that. Like, it's a horrible.
It's like it's like a spreadsheet. It's like when you have a document that only you know exactly what's happening. In that document. Yeah, it's no like one that else kind should of thing. Look at it.
So I block out lots of different blocks, and usually think about, well, okay, such and such is releasing an album next year, or it's such and such's last tour in England, so we really want to get those kind of things in. So plot out those key points that I think would be really great to have. Hopefully, and usually that draft that I plan, even up until now, like there's drafts that I've planned and it's like, that's not what's going to happen on the day. Not a chance. By the time you've got everyone's availability. But you go, what's the dream? So if these guys all want to be there for strategic reasons, and they would work best as Friday night because it's dancey in that venue, or they work best on Saturday afternoon because we want something a bit more chill for lunchtime or whatever, and then plot those bits in, make agent approaches, so offer deals or see what that might look like in terms of the deal, and then sort of fill in the gaps from there. So it's going, okay, well, if they're headlining that stage, what would make sense sonically? What would make sense just from like a curatorial perspective to fill in the spots ahead of that? And usually they're bookended, so I'll usually have a support artist who is currently studying on the folk degree to give them their kind of first professional gig, or like give them the opportunity to kind of go through that process. And we do a little bit of development there where we support them with writing their tech specs, which they've maybe never done before, or getting their press pack together. So it's usually bookended with those headliners that I've kind of identified as being a key tactical choice for that year, a folk degree student or a young musician or emerging artist for the sport, and then fill that in through. And there's all lots of other factors, so people who might be really good at running a workshop, so like the Furrow Collective this year are going to do a harmony singing workshop, and as soon as I said that, like loads of people who, actually I don't know if we've, it's not embargoed, it's out in the world.
Exclusive.
It's just not on the website yet because I haven't updated it. But loads of people who love going to singing weekends or choir stuff were like, that's amazing, we'd love, we'd do that just as an independent thing. So thinking about those sides of the programme as well. And then the other thing that I've really built out this year, so I've been joking that it all came together a little bit too easily, like the concerts the programme happened, and I was like, great, okay, cool, that's done. So now I was like, well, it can't be that easy. So we've built out the bandstand sessions, which are our free performances, which run from Saturday and Sunday. They're even longer this year. And then I've also built out another programme within a programme of youth stuff. So we're going to have giant puppets, we're going to have more crafts.
Oh, cool.
And they're going to be primarily down in the Woodland Centre, but also throughout the town. So again, not announced yet, but again, partially because
you just love the chaos, Eleanor. You just love the chaos.
It was the moment, honestly. I was sending messages, and we've got a Google Chat system. I was like, right, done with the concerts, and everyone was like, great, okay, cool. I was like, I'm gonna have 4 to 5 puppets. So just gonna deal with that one next.
I love that so much. It's like, well, all the concerts have gone far too smoothly, so we need the cast of the Muppets at the festival,
Oh,
or else.
dream.
Like, well, speaking of dreams, do you have a dream act that you would have at the festival? Like, who is the person that you would, or band or whatever, that you would just love to have on the bill?
Oh.
It can be for your own self-indulgence,
Yeah,
or just
it would have
in
to be
general.
self-indulgence because, as I said, there's loads of fact. I think I'd love like Elinor Mitchell.
Oh, lovely.
That would be a dream. It's the like American artists that are a bit of a faff to bring across.
Yeah.
So your Elinor Mitchell is like a Rhiannon Giddens or
Oh, that would be amazing.
That which I think would fit really nicely narratively. But also,
have you heard that, Rhiannon?
Yeah. If you want to, if any agents want to get in touch.
In previous years of the festival, has there been any really? I mean, I know that you're obviously like rushing around doing about 1,000 different things, but like, is there any standout moments that you can think of festivals gone by?
Ooh, see, let me have a think. It's usually the really small moments that I get to see. So like last year, we got, and I don't know how many musicians we got, but we got a bunch of musicians onto the funicular railway on the cliff lift, and they played tunes from top to bottom, and we filmed it. And just had a session on the railway. So little things like that, which actually most people don't get to see. But it was just one of those things that I've been talking about for years. Like, we should take some videos, we should get some musicians on the railway. And then it literally just happened. It was my first time going down to the beach.
Yeah.
And it just happened. On my way back up, I said to the conductor, the man who pulls the big lever and sends it down, and was like, if I came back with like 15 musicians in like half an hour, could we just kind of take them on it and let them play it? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. So now I'm like, right, so we'll do it every day this year. But gig wise, I mean, Chris Drever was fantastic a couple of years ago. That was one of the first years, I think, that we had the school, which is our biggest capacity building, biggest capacity room. And it was just full, and it was beautiful, and you could literally like could hear a pin drop. But I think it's all the little moments I've seen. Like last year, I nipped into Guns Bar, just as I was passing on my way between a couple of venues, just to stick my head in. And we'd planned for one session to be happening downstairs. I went in, and there was 4 different sessions happening. One in the yard, one in the like basement room, one in the main bar, and one, I don't know, there's another little room, a snug or something. And then the Kingsmen turned up and they started dancing. And it was like, I mean, I'm glad I didn't run that bar because that sounds like a nightmare. But it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, this is where everyone is. Like, this is amazing.
That's incredible.
And it's those things that you don't plan that are as exciting as the things that you do. So it's great when you put on a gig and people come to it and they like it and the artists are happy and you get some nice photos, and that's really lovely. But it's those moments where everyone's decided to do something of their own volition because they're just having a great time. So
it's like the magic's created within the people.
Yeah,
know.
Definitely.
Who are you looking forward to? Is there anyone that you're desperate to try and see this year when you're not putting fires out?
I think definitely the Fur Collective, because it's Rachel's last gig with the Fur Collective.
Oh, is it?
I don't believe that's an exclusive. I do believe that is in the world, but if it's not, it's an exclusive.
Yeah.
So that would be really exciting. And that whole gig is just going to be beautiful, I think, if I do say so myself. So you've got Memphis Gerald and then Janice Burns and John Doran.
Oh, lovely.
Which just be beautiful throughout that whole kind of stage on Saturday evening. What else am I really looking forward to? I think Salt House on Sunday is going to be lovely, and Hannah James and Toby Coon as well. Another accordion player, another clog dancing accordion player.
They're the best.
There's only 3 of you, but you know.
They're kind of miserable.
You've all performed at Saltburn Folk Festival.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I'm actually, sometimes when I'm programming, there's things that I'm like, I think this is going to do really well. It's not what I'd put on Spotify day to day, but I think it's going to do fantastic. It'll be a really cool gig. But most of the, like, I think every single gig that I've plotted in this year, genuinely, I've just said to someone, I've annoyed myself because I keep looking at the programme and being like, oh, I can't be in 2 places at once. I can't change the whole programme just so I can watch every gig.
But you do technically have the power.
I do, but it'd be a really rubbish festival. Just like from 9 a.m. to midnight, just everyone all on one stage, one after another, while I sit there. So yeah, it's really hard to pick this year. Like Angeline Morrison and Frankie Archer is a double headliner on Friday night.
That's going to be incredible. That's going to be so good.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. I haven't because Frank at time of recording, I think Frankie's album got released on Friday.
Yes,
I think,
and
I'm so excited to listen to it. But yeah, have you ever had any strange rider requests from people? You don't have to say who it is, but have you had any like really random rider things?
No, do you know what? I really wish I had. Like, I've got loads of friends who are promoters or who've worked at venues who all have their fun rider story, and I just don't. Folkies are really too normal. It's always like, you know, some water. Maybe if you could put it in a Brita filter, that would be nice. Or like some tea bags.
Yeah.
Like something really boring. I suppose the only it's like a reverse to. We once had we'd had a kind of thank you picky bits.
Lovely, yeah.
But so our patron Steve had put on some like charcuterie boards, is how I would describe them. Massive boards of cheese to thank some of our funders and some of our partners and some of our people who'd invested in the festival or people who had given years of volunteer time, things like that. And I think it was on the Friday night or the Saturday night before the gigs kicked off, and then it turned out we'd ordered way too much cheese. So there was one night in one venue where we just had these massive balls of cheese backstage, and I was like, why is there just loads of cheese in here? Like, so
that's really funny.
it was like the opposite of someone asking for a mad rider. We just like kind of left.
You made the rider. You made the mad rider.
Imagine if someone asked for just 6 boards of cheese.
That's really funny.
Which
that's really good.
You don't eat loads of cheese before singing.
No.
Do you?
I wouldn't know, but yeah. But no, I don't think you're supposed to. That's really funny. So one of the things that because I, as you mentioned, I have done Saltburn a few times, and the one thing that I love about it is that it feels like there's a real sense of community. And obviously, you were saying before about like how, you know, the festival's kind of like there's sort of like a transition between the sort of people who'd organised it beforehand, and then now it's kind of come into this new what's the word? This sort of new chapter in the festival's sort of history. What do you think a festival needs to have in order to create that sense of community?
So I think there's two things. One is we do everything on a massive shoestring. Like, we have very little budget, even when we do have, you know, little bits of investment or little bits of grants from Arts Council or local funders. Everything is done on sort of like roping in our mates or pulling in favours, pulling in mates rates, which, you know, it does mean we're literally just grabbing our friends and being like, hey, you do staging, can you come and help out?
Yeah.
Or like grabbing friends who work in theatre and being like, you know how to rig a backdrop, could you just tell me how to do it?
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
forcing your husband to be there for the whole festival and doing things.
He's not coming this year. I think he's escaped. Yeah. But yeah, literally, it's like we had a joke that we've got a team, which is basically my sister's partner, my husband, and Ellen, who's the design director's husband, Dan. Basically, we just rope them in and they drive around in a van all weekend like the Chuckle Brothers. And, you know, because me and Ellen can't drive either, so we're like, wow, you guys can drive the van and put out all of our mad stuff that we've made. Like our bunting thing. And so they turned themselves logical and came up with a special handshake out of all of this.
This is great.
And so, you know, it's all the mad stuff like that where it's like, yes, we do pay freelancers to do the heavy lifting, we pay our tech teams, but by the time you've paid your tech team and you've paid your lighting engineers and your venues and all the other stuff, your first aid people and all that stuff, there are gaps where you just kind of have to go, I've definitely got a friend who can put up some bunting, or like, you know, and we're all putting in way more hours than exist in the day, essentially, to make that happen. So I think that's one thing, is it really is kind of a labour of love, and I think you feel that, but then also you feel the energy of a load of friends and family just kind of making it work, making it happen. And then I think the other side of it is it's been quite, not engineered, organically engineered, if that's a thing, to have lots of different points within the programme where, yes, there's the concerts, which are great and arguably the kind of main draw for a lot of people, but there's loads of different points where people can just build community, so there's spaces to have a session. Some of them are led by people, some of them kind of happen organically. You know, there's spots like the Ceilidh, which is run again by DIY Ceilidh, who takes a really DIY approach, people can join in. There's lots of these touch points to get involved and make you feel like you're kind of part of the team or build your own community out of it. So I think that's the other side of that as well. Yeah,
definitely. So we kind of, at the moment, I feel like there's, I mean, in the music industry in general, but I suppose in festivals specific, we are living in a world where sadly there's an increase in festivals cancelling or having to like skip years and, or, you know, go back to drawing boards and all that sort of things. What do you think the changes have been for festival culture over the years, do you think?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I suppose, I mean, we know that costs are rising. You know, drastically, all of our overheads went up. Post-COVID, insurance went up massively, cost for hiring in all of your tech went up massively, and rightfully so, the cost of like freelancers went up. Like, we all need to be charging more. Like, we're all charging basically what we charged in 2019, which is insane, since the cost of living went up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, astronomically. But that does then mean that, like, paying for your sound engineers costs more, but people can't afford much higher ticket prices, so our ticket prices go up so marginally, and then we've also counteracted that with a load of kind of optional discounts and under 30s tickets, and we also operate on not a pay-as-you-feel model, but a model of we have a standard ticket price, and then we have no questions asked lower ticket price for people who want to come but could just use that little bit cheaper ticket. And then we also have a pay a little bit more option where people can essentially kind of subsidise the people who are paying a little bit less.
Yeah, like a pay it forward type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then any kind of surplus from that, which I don't think we ever really have, it kind of washes its own face, but just goes back into the running of the festival. But then, yeah, so there's that. And obviously the cost of living crisis is huge. It's mean people aren't buying tickets or not buying them as far in advance. We've been so like last year actually, we hadn't sold very many tickets. We'd sold enough just about at this point in the year, and then in July we had this like massive influx that meant it was, you know, gonna happen. It was all fine. Yeah. But June last year I was stressed. Yeah. I was very stressed.
Yeah.
So yeah, people were just deciding like a month before the festival, going like, yeah, go on, do you know what, I will go.
Yeah.
We've actually been really lucky this year, and I can't put my finger exactly on what's been the difference, but we're nearly sold out of weekend tickets,
which is
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's you know, in the context, it's unbelievable, and we're all very excited. I think we've got 16 left at point of recording.
16. Wow, yeah. Oh my goodness.
So, like, those little posts I've been putting out on Instagram that are like, we're 80% sold or whatever, I'm not lying. Like, I'm not trying to
Well, I mean, I wasn't accusing you of lying, but...
But we all, you know, we all put things on social media that's like, trying to push people in a certain direction.
Yeah.
But genuinely, there's a genuine warning.
Yeah, 16, that's brilliant though, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. So what do you think people can do, like, to support existing festivals or supporting new festivals that pop up, or, you know, I guess it's that sort of thing of, you know, you've talked a lot about it kind of really emphasising like using like having emerging artists and having new talent and youth talent and dance teams as well, which we haven't really spoken about yet as well. What do you think people can do as a way of like supporting like different festival like ecosystems and things?
So I think, I mean, I'm not going to say just buy a ticket and buy
Yeah,
a t-shirt,
yeah.
because that's the obvious answer, and I know it's not possible for everybody. But I think one of the things that maybe isn't talked about a lot is a lot of festivals are purely commercial festivals. A lot of folk festivals or community festivals or festivals that do a lot of that more like talent development stuff or do more of that work with young people, working with the community, and we also do some year-round delivery, which I can talk a little bit more about at a later point if that's useful. But one of the things that we do is we go out for grant funding. So we go to Arts Council, we go to local charities and local funders and the local council and people like that. And one of the key things that you find with that is stats are great. We can put forward like X amount of people came to the festival, Y amount of people saw the outdoor stuff, and all of that stuff. We hired Y amount of freelancers. But we're in a huge cultural funding crisis. There's significantly less money in those funding pots than there was before, and significantly more people asking for it because costs have gone up.
Yeah.
People are going to fewer things, so people who didn't apply for funding, say before COVID, are now applying for funding post-COVID, or applying for more than they were before COVID because the gap's bigger. So telling stories about how these things impact you are really useful to us. So when we're asking for feedback after the festival or before the festival or when you've participated in something we've done, yes, we want the kind of the things we could do better or the little thoughts or the kind of rating of stuff we've done. Like, we do want to be told if we need a bigger skip on the campsite or whatever. But actually, if people can tell us those stories that are like, I've been coming since this year, and it's been my one thing I do every summer that gets into music, or whatever that story is. Or we've seen, artists who grew up in the Saltburn area who, came to the festival as children and now professional folk musicians, and all of those stories which we kind of know but don't have written down.
Yes.
So, those kind of things are really useful to us, because if you can have case studies in that funding mechanism system, it's a lot easier to pull on the heartstrings of the people with the money and the purse strings, and then potentially more likely to be successful. So that bridges the gap hugely. And that's usually the difference between, how many artists we can pay, how much we can do to make the venues really good, that versus the bare minimum of a festival will occur.
Yeah.
That complete, or how stressed I am in June.
Yes. So we, at time of recording, we are in the middle of June.
Yes.
How stressed on a scale of 1 to 10 are we right now?
Much less stressed than last year with
Great.
ticket sales, and we
Good.
also have some Arts Council funding this year, a small investment from their grassroots music fund, which is brilliant. I do keep having stress dreams that there's going to be like a storm.
Okay.
So there's not much I can do about that. But I do keep googling like giant sails to cover the bandstand.
It's like, how much tarpaulin is too much tarpaulin?
Yeah. Can I have all the tarpaulin? But if that's the things I'm worried about at this point, that's quite good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There may be something else. There's always things come up. You have things like artist injuries where you have to replace people in the programme, or there's lots of different bits and pieces. But touch wood, relatively calm.
Yes. Good. That's great.
Previous years.
That's great. So we're in the middle of June now, but we'll cast our minds forward to the 7th of August, or the 6th of August maybe, because I'm assuming you're there a few days before. But so we get to the 7th of August, which is when the festival starts. What does a day look like for you at the festival? What are you doing? What's happening?
So Thursday tends to be our primary loading day, because that's when our volunteers start to arrive. And also our sound engineers and our tech team. So Thursday we're kind of onboarding everyone. We're trialling this year. We've got an online induction for volunteers, so we're feeling very high tech.
It's very high tech.
It's essentially some videos of what the induction usually is. But so yeah, usually doing those briefings, getting everyone up to speed on the venues and the health and safety protocol and all of that stuff. We do get the festival office set up, all that thing. But usually I bail out of that because we usually have the team who drives the van, not just our husbands, but the actual like professional guys.
Yeah.
Who get out all of our like big A boards and our big flagpoles and all bunting, and so we're kind of running around, we're setting up the bandstand, we're setting up lots of different decor around the town, so people kind of know that there's a festival going on. Setting up the campsite with our campsite team, making sure quite a lot of printing, lots of printing.
Okay.
Printing.
That's
like,
not what I thought you were going to say.
Tons of hovering around a printer, printing out like
Right.
campsite lists,
Yeah.
ticket holder lists, artist lists, comps lists,
Yeah.
loads of lists
Yeah.
of people and things. That's Thursday. Then we usually have a sing around which kicks off on Thursday night, and then Friday is where it starts properly. So we'll have our first gigs from Friday afternoon. Again, there's still quite a lot more bits of loading happening. That's when we do our main like venue setup with tech, so with like the school and the theatre primarily. So yeah, loads of running around, making sure that the tech teams are in, they're loading in, everything's safe. There's no kind of unexpected. There's always something unexpected, but figuring out what the unexpected thing is.
Yeah,
dealing
good.
with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then often artists arriving, so I'll try and meet as many artists as I can when they sign in, make sure they know where their accommodation is, make sure they know where their stage is, what they have, all their advancing stuff. So again, printing. I try and print out advancing information if we have enough paper and ink. And then making sure everyone knows where they're going, what's going to happen, all that kind of thing. Make sure the volunteer rosters are done, make sure the volunteers are happy, there's no one just gone missing or not come. And then we have the gigs, so then there's lots of liaising with our stage managers or getting into the venues and kind of supporting all of the sound checks. And then sometimes I get to hear some music, which is really cool. And then, so Saturdays, and they're quite similar with that. We run gigs sort of through, on Saturday, I think it's from, might not be fully confirmed yet, Saturday morning through to about midnight when the Kaylee ends, or quite late at night. So we've got quite a long day. Somewhere in that, someone convinces me to eat a sandwich.
Great. What's your sandwich of choice? Festival weekend.
Usually something really beige, because I don't like. I'm bad at eating when I'm like on the job. It's like adrenaline. So it's usually something like there's a big Sainsbury's in Saltburn, so like a really beige like meal deal of like hula hoops, like the chicken and stuffing one.
Nice.
Like the beige.
Yeah. The beige of the beige.
The beige of the beige.
Although trying to get a sandwich in that Sainsbury's festival weekend is insane. It's absolutely. I have tried and have failed multiple times.
There has been a few years where my choice has just been like a bag of tortilla chips, a massive bag of tortilla chips, and just one of those little pots of guacamole, and just kind of carrying that around with me. Although it's not very practical on the move. Like there's a lot of times where I'm like walking around the town with my little pot of guacamole.
Can I have an assistant to hold my guacamole, please?
That's what our husbands are for.
Exactly.
But
that's
it's that running around, and then obviously the reverse on Sunday. So we do as much of the loadout on Sunday night as we can without disrupting the stuff, and then Monday's a full day of loadout. It sounds really boring. It's basically that. It's constantly problem solving, and somewhere within that I might also get to hear some music.
Yeah.
And also we do have people doing content creation, so grabbing stuff for socials. We have a photographer, and sometimes we have a videographer as well, and a socials team, but also grabbing stuff for socials if I can. My camera roll is always just useless. Yeah, it's always like like last year the only photo I'd taken of the festival was a pineapple outside of someone's tent on the campsite.
Great.
That was it.
Great.
Like we were literally looking for a photo of the campsite to put on the website, and I was like, oh, I must have one. I've got to have a photo of the campsite. It's the only photo I had.
I love that.
So just a pineapple on the field.
Do you have a moment during the festival where you're like, right, we're on the home run here, nothing can go wrong, or is it very much just high cortisol till Monday?
maybe Saturday night, if all's gone okay, usually feels like it. By Sunday lunchtime, you're usually pretty on the home stretch because there's only usually a gig or two to go. It's all kind of happening. A lot of people drift away towards the end of Sunday, so it feels like it's ebbing out quite nicely.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so that is the point where you feel like, oh, okay, I can sit down and I can watch a gig maybe. Like last year, oh my god, it was Emily Portman and Cinto Suso. It's one of the best gigs I've ever seen. It was so good. The like double headliner of that. And that was the first time I kind of sat down and was like, I'm going to watch this gig. And hovering near the door with my Apple Watch on, just in case anyone got me. But that was that moment. That was sort of lunchtime, mid-afternoon, wasn't it? I lose all track of what time it actually is. But then it kind of begins anew on the Monday because then we're like, oh my god, we have so much stuff. It's like moving house. It's like we're like, where did we get all this?
That's such a good analogy for planning a festival. It's like moving house.
Yeah. Like, did we put this all out on Thursday? Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure? We had this much bunting before.
That's really funny that like just people would start putting up excess bunting everywhere. There's such a weird like mind game of like, where's all this bunting come from?
Did we do this?
Yeah. So if you were gonna go to, because obviously you are very well known what's happening and all the bits of the festival. If you were a punter that was like maybe thinking about coming along and you had decided last minute if there's any tickets left, obviously if there's any tickets left, but if you were just a punter who had decided they wanted to come, what would you spend your day doing if you didn't have to run around putting fires out?
So things are staggered in a way that hopefully people can dip into like different parts of the programme and not miss too much of any of the other bits. So if it was Saturday, say, which is probably the most full day, I'd catch the morning gig, first of all. We've also got 3 films being shown this year, so I might go and have a look at a short indie film. I'd also really advise going to the workshop programme because we've got a whole load of different workshops, so everything from Harm Scene with Fur Collective, we've got and then we've also got a spoken word programme which has a load of workshops, so poetry writing and things like that. So there's a whole kind of host of different things. Baran workshops, what else? I can't remember off the top of my head. I do know. Yeah. I've literally just been looking at this programme, but I'm trying to think what's actually out in the world. But yeah, go to some workshops, go to some sessions. There's usually little spots where there's maybe not a gig happening. It's quite rare, but there are definitely little spots in the programme where you could go and have a fish and chips on the front. That's a good one. But yeah, just trying to see as much of the different bits as possible. It's not all about the gigs. As much as, and that's the thing, as a programmer, you want it to be all about the gigs. Like, I've put on some great gigs, come and watch them all.
Yeah.
But there's this whole other, like, when you look at the Big Mad Crazy spreadsheet, the gigs are like this bit of the programme, and then everything else is like this. So there's so much more you have that you don't maybe see or think about, or you go and see it and you're like, oh, I didn't even know there was spoken word or films or...
Yeah, and you have quite a lot of like Morris sides and dance teams and all that sort of stuff.
Dance teams. So yeah, Clog, Rapper, Morris, Longsword, I think. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure there's usually some. Appalachian Clog.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, huge dancing there throughout the town. There's Kaylee, Saturday night, 100% go to that. That's always great fun. Yeah, so I think it's winding your way through the programme and finding those little spots of different stuff to do. Mm-hmm. And maybe when I've been bad in previous years where I've kind of, partially because I'm doing stuff, but I've been like hunkered down in one venue and then I've been like, oh, I completely missed like loads of different stuff because I was like, oh, I'll just stay here, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it is just because I'm running around, but I'm sure a normal person's like step count at the end of that weekend is astronomical.
Yeah.
So
So get your steps in and go to Saltburn
Folk
Festival. I've got 2 more questions for you. So if people kind of either are going to come this year or have listened to this and gone, actually next year I'd like to come, are there any ways that people can be like involved in the festival as well as just like buying a ticket to come? Are there like different ways that people can get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always need volunteer stewards, we always need people to check wristbands, do the doors of the gigs, make sure the gigs are safe and not over capacity, all of that kind of things. We have volunteers who work on the festival office, doing all the sort of giving out the tickets, making sure people know where they're going, selling merch, running the festival office, that's fully volunteer led. And then there's also bits and pieces of volunteering that don't fit into those exact things. So we've got some volunteers, I think it's literally today, helping Nigel, one of our directors, do a bit of a recce of all the stuff that needs to go back in on a Monday and looking at it and taking it out of our storage and helping us kind of assess what's there, whether we need more bunting, all of that kind of thing. So there's little bits and pieces like that which kind of add up to your volunteer hours. And then the other way people kind of get involved without getting a ticket is being part of a dance team. So we have a dance coordinator called Leslie, who books loads of really great local and national dance teams. So if you're part of a Morris team or a rapper team or a club team, you can get in touch that way. And then the other way, which is probably less accessible, but you can also apply to be an artist through the EOI process, which goes out on our website, usually in the autumn. As I say, we always get way more applications than I can kind of deal with or like book, but that is there as well.
Yeah, that's great. And then my last question is, what do you love most about Saltburn?
I think it's really exciting. Personally, it's really exciting to have this kind of creative project that like I could just do anything with it. It is a sort of stewardship of a thing that way precedes me being born into the world. So it's there is an element of stewardship, but it is a fantastic creative project for me and something I really, really care about really deeply. But it's just a lovely place. It's beautiful. It's really community led. We work with loads of partnerships, so we get loads of people kind of from all walks of life getting involved. Whether that's children, young people, all the way through to kind of older people, young professionals, and it's just really, there's just an energy every year that you come away and you're like, I'm absolutely knackered, like I need to sleep for a week after I come back. It's just really, it's just got this vibe that I think we've partially curated, but has also just developed around it. So with each year, it feels like that beds in. It's got this identity and it's got this community of people who come back every year, and it feels like it's really starting to grow and really starting to kind of get somewhere really exciting.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like, as I said right at the beginning, I've known you since we did our degree, which is over a decade ago now, which
we discovered today.
Yes, and it's slightly sickening, but that's fine, but like having seen you, having sort of, I guess, like, known you since we were like 18 and like sort of navigating like what on earth you do in this industry, and then like seeing you taking the festival on and then turning it into what it is now, I'm just like, oh my god, like I'm like proud of you in a way, because I'm like, it's so amazing like to see you like do this and then like seeing what it's become, and I'm so excited to see what it's going to be in the future. So if you want to go to Saltburn Folk Festival, if you can get a ticket, because going to be batting people away at this rate, it's the 7th to the 9th of August, and you can get your tickets on the website, I'm assuming. Yes,
we have got some day tickets available.
Great.
As well. So if you want a ticket for one of the days, I mean in theory you could buy one for each of the days, but then that would be probably not a good financial choice to make.
If you make terrible financial choices,
instead of buying a weekend ticket, you could buy a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday ticket. But particularly for people maybe you work on a Friday, or you just want to see the artists who are on a Saturday or the Sunday or the Friday particularly, those are an available route, and there are more of those left because we released them later than weekend tickets currently. And we may release more we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll do a calculation.
Keep your eyes peeled, basically.
But yes, on the website.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, lovely.
What a woman. What an absolute boss queen. I really, really enjoyed getting to talk to her about all of this sort of stuff and finding out a little bit more. I think I will leave her to run the festivals and I'll just play them. It sounds much easier and yeah, I don't think I'm cut out for it, to be honest. That was Elinor. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you want to find out more about Saltburn Folk Festival, then you can head to their website or their social media, and we will be back next week with episode 3. So we'll catch you soon. Bye.